From r/am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for taking my brother-in-law's side after my mother-in-law stole $7,000 from him? My brother-in-law called me up in August of last year, 2023, to ask me to check my husband's bank account to make sure no money was missing after he discovered money was missing from his account. After investigating it, he found that money had been continuously removed from his bank account over the course of several months, specifically since that June, and that the total amount of money that had been taken from his account was a little over $7,000. I checked my husband's bank account at his request and found no money missing. Now, for a little more context, my husband and brother-in-law have bank accounts that were set up for them by my mother-in-law and their stepdad when they were minors. Neither of them had their parents removed from the accounts, because why would they? Their parents would never steal from them. The stepdad had stolen $500 out of my husband's account before I ever came into the picture, but that was handled and it never happened again. We called my mother-in-law, who was in Tennessee visiting family at the time, to let her know that we thought that the stepdad was back at it again and that we were going to call the police, since this was an amount way over $500 and was now considered a federal crime. We were all actually kind of excited about it, because my mother-in-law had been trying to divorce the stepdad since he's just been a terrible person overall, and had really embodied deadbeat dad by refusing to get a job and help take care of his 3 minor daughters as well as the house. However, her mother-in-law said to wait for her to get back home in a few days, and that she would help handle it. That should have been the first red flag, but my husband's family has always been one to try to handle things within the family first before involving police or anyone and anything else. So this was not that weird. My brother-in-law and I had gone back and forth communicating with my mother-in-law and his grandparents to make sure everyone was in the loop and to try and get things addressed and handled. The second red flag was when mother-in-law initially refused to give screenshots of her bank account after being told that brother-in-law could see that the money had been transferred into mother-in-law's account, and then started claiming that she had been in a car wreck while in Tennessee and wasn't able to contact the bank or check her bank app to provide the evidence we would need to in order to lock in stepdad's guilt. She even claimed this was the reason why she could not hold a conversation when she was out at dinner with friends. When she finally sent over the screenshots of the bank account, they were cropped and showed little to no useful information. Brother-in-law called her after she had gotten back home from Tennessee and called her out for how cagey she's been around all of this. And, after lying to all of our faces for almost a week, she finally confessed to stealing the money, and that stepdad had no clue as to what was actually going on. Brother-in-law recorded the call to have it on record in case he needed to take legal action. There was a lot of fake crying, dodging questions, trying to redirect the conversation to her time on her self-care vacation, and a general lack of remorse after she knew she had been caught. Needless to say, we were all heartbroken. We had been defending her to others that had known about the situation and had said that she may be the culprit, only to have to eat every word we had ever said in her defense. When questioned, mother-in-law said she needed the money for bills she was way behind on, thanks to stepdad's refusal to get a job, and for groceries for her 3 daughters, still at home and in school. From the screenshots of the bank records she sent, we were able to account for all the money that was stolen, except for a little over $2,000. From what we were able to account for, the money was used to pay some bills, but there has still been no actual explanation given for the full amount of money missing. For a little more context, mother-in-law had been traveling basically all summer, seeing family, taking a self-care vacation, and visiting a special friend of hers. We were all wondering how she had been able to afford all of this travel, especially when she'd been constantly complaining of being behind on bills and being unable to buy groceries some weeks, to the point where my husband and I had put in grocery orders for her, and my brother-in-law had been covering a bill or two when he could, since he was dealing with his financial hardships. He had been unemployed since February 2023 due to layoffs, and was living off his savings while he searched for a new job. We're all convinced the missing money was used for her traveling purposes, since she still refuses to this day to give an explanation or to send over unedited screenshots of her bank account and records so we can see exactly where all of the money that was taken went. Mother-in-law has refused to apologize or even acknowledge that what she did was wrong. All she has done so far is run to her parents for help with this situation. And now, brother-in-law's grandparents have been trying to essentially buy his silence with $3,500 and a promise of her paying him back the rest of the money over time. She has never paid any money that she has borrowed from anyone back, and still owes my husband about $3,000 for his help with a down payment for her current home. Brother-in-law has refused this since that money was a good chunk of his livelihood, and he does not want to just forgive and forget and let all of this blow away, as this has impacted him in more ways than just financially. When the grandparents reached out to myself and my husband, we made it perfectly clear that we stand with my brother-in-law on this, and that the full amount needs to be paid back. The grandparents are more than capable of paying the full amount back on behalf of their daughter, mother-in-law, and can let her pay them back over time if they have such faith in her ability to pay back the money over time. They have refused that option, citing some BS reasons. Shocker. Since my brother-in-law has refused the hush money, he has since received condescending texts, an insulting letter from his grandfather calling him so many different names, vaguely threatening Christmas cards, and even had his grandfather show up to his house uninvited to try and talk things out. When asked to leave, he did not, and stayed on his doorstep, ringing the doorbell and knocking for over 30 minutes before finally leaving. The final straw for all of us was when my mother-in-law texted my husband, trying to use his little sisters against him. Don't forget that you have little sisters that love you and want to see you regardless of how you feel about me and my actions. So we set up a visit with his little sisters with the help of the eldest sister, a 17-year-old, and a family friend. Mother-in-law knew about it, went running to her mother about it, and the grandmother proceeded to call the eldest sister, mother-in-law daughter, to cuss her out and demand an explanation for her betrayal. Yeah, you read that right. Betrayal, all because she helped remove a piece of leverage mother-in-law thought she had over her sons, brother-in-law, and my husband. Brother-in-law has since cut off all contact with the family since they started attacking his little sisters. The younger sisters also not escaped this unscathed, sadly, and is working with his wife to put a lien on his mother-in-law house to get the full amount stolen back when she sells it, since she has finally decided to move forward with divorcing stepdad. I, and my mother, who has nothing at all to do with any of this, have been blocked on social media by my grandmother and mother-in-law for some reason unknown to me, aside from being vocal about standing with my brother-in-law and wanting to hold my mother-in-law responsible for her actions. So, am I the asshole for taking my brother-in-law's side after my mother-in-law stole $7,000 from him? Edit. I did not expect people to already be hitting this post, but thank you all for your wonderful comments and advice so far. I did want to clarify that all remaining money in both my brother-in-law's and my husband's accounts that were opened for them has been moved to new accounts that my mother-in-law does not have access to. We also know that pressing charges would be very difficult to do, since mother-in-law was listed on the account and had the ability to withdraw and transfer money at her leisure. My brother-in-law has been seeking legal counsel to see what his options are, but has been running into obstacle after obstacle. It's why he feels the lien on his mother-in-law's house is his best option. I also wanted to address why I may feel like the AH. I've just had people who know about this situation reach out to me, asking me how I could support going no contact, and how I need to have more compassion for my mother-in-law and help her so she can do better in the future. I shut those conversations down for obvious reasons, see the whole post, but being the person I am, I can overthink and doubt myself. So I just wanted to make sure I was having a valid response to this whole situation and didn't react super emotionally, since I have loved and respected my mother-in-law the entire time I have known her. Second edit. Thank you all for your comments and advice. We all live in the USA, so that's why it's been difficult to get the police involved. My brother-in-law is checking his credit and is going to lock it down just to be sure. My husband has had his credit locked down for years now, so no issue there. My mother-in-law never had access to my info, so no worries there. However, I have also locked my credit down just to be safe. Unfortunately, none of us had access to any of the little sister's information, so there is not really a way for us to check on our own. I've been reaching out to the eldest sister's boyfriend to see if he can help and encourage her to check on her and her sister's credit to make sure all is well there and get those locked down too. Sadly, there is not much else we can do as far as that goes. We, both brother-in-law and husband, have offered our homes to the eldest sister when she turns 18, since mother-in-law has decided to start attacking her for trying to defend brother-in-law, and our decision to go no contact and take legal routes to get the money back. Our hands are tied in many ways in this situation, but we are doing what we can to get the money back and help the little sisters. Leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to our channel to make sure that you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you for watching Reading Reddit.